Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching. In today's video, to celebrate the upcoming Justice League movie, I'm going to be showing you how I made this Batman themed cake. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd like me to make any more members of the Justice League. I've already done Wonder Woman and I will link that video down below, so let's get right into this one. I'm starting out with two 6-inch cakes that I've cut in half and leveled, and I'm going to be filling those with some yellow Swiss meringue buttercream. Using my small offset spatula, I'm making sure that my buttercream is nice and level, and then once my cake is stacked up, I'm going to apply a thin crumb coat of my buttercream all the way around, just to lock in all of those crumbs so that they don't show up in our final ice and make our cake lumpy. That's going in the fridge for about 25 minutes to firm up, and then once you can touch your finger to the buttercream and none of it comes off, it's ready for the final ice. I'm adding a big dollop of buttercream on the top of my cake, and then using my spatula and my turntable, I'm just smoothing that out until it's nice and level. I'm adding a thick layer of buttercream on the sides of my cake as well, and then just taking my bench scraper, I'm just going along and smoothing out my buttercream. And for all of the buttercream that accumulated on the very top edge of my cake, I'm just taking my spatula, careful to keep it level, and then just pulling that into the center. Now my cake is going to go back in the fridge just to keep chilling, and I'm going to start on my fondant. I have some black here that I'm rolling out on my cornstarch surface to about 1/8 of an inch thick. When you're rolling it out, if you find that you have any bubbles, you can just gently pop those with a sharp pin. I'm picking my fondant up with my fondant roller and draping that over my chilled cake, and then quickly using my hands and my fondant smoother, I'm pushing all of the air out from the top of the cake and then smoothing my way down the sides, just pulling out the skirt and the pleats until I reach the bottom. I went over the whole thing one more time with my fondant smoother and then cut away the excess at the bottom using my pizza cutter. You don't often see me doing this in my videos because I can't really be bothered about the super crisp edges. I'm normally not super fussy about it, but if you want to have crisp edges, then you can see here I'm using two fondant smoothers and kind of just bringing them together. One's going over the top of the cake and one's going up the side, and then they're meeting right on the edge. And if you keep working them like that and going over and over and over, then eventually you will have a more like sharp edge on your cake. Since my cake is 2 tiers, I need to add some supports to the bottom. So I have these wooden dowels that I'm spacing evenly and then marking with an edible food marker where they are flush with the cake, cutting them down to size, and then just placing those back in. I'm adding a little smear of buttercream and then placing my 4-inch tier on top. I've iced and covered that cake in gray fondant, and it was the exact same process that I did for the bottom tier. Moving on to the decorations, I'm going to start with Batman's mask. I do suggest making this a day or two ahead just because you want it to be really firm before you try to add it to your cake. So I've rolled out some black fondant, a little on the thicker side, and then I have this template that I will link below, and I'm just cutting it out using my X-Acto knife. The reason I cut my mask a little bit thicker than I normally would for a topper is because I want to add like a ridge going down the center of the mask so it looks a little more angular. You don't have to do this by any means, but I just liked the way it looked. So I'm using a paintbrush to just mark a line in, and then with my fingers I'm just pinching that together and then smoothing out the edges so they kind of diffuse into the rest of the mask. I'm putting that aside so it can firm up, and I'm going to start making the cape for the top of my cake. So I'm rolling out some more of my black fondant to about 1/8 of an inch thick. You need to make sure that you're rolling it out big enough so that when you drape it over the top tier, it's going to cover the entire thing. And I'm using a pizza cutter just to make a nicer circle, and then I'm picking that up and draping it over my cake. I'm just using my fingers to manipulate the pleats a little bit so they don't stick out so much. It already creates that nice natural capey looking shape, so you don't have to do too much work. And then out of the front, I'm basically just cutting out a wedge with my X-Acto knife. You want to make sure that you're not cutting through the gray fondant, just really lightly marking out and then going over the line one more time, just cutting through that black. I went over the edges and the pleats one more time just to neaten them up a bit, and then this was what I ended up with. Next, I'm going to roll out some more black fondant, and I'm going to cut out the bat emblem for the front of the outfit. This is not the emblem that's on Ben Affleck's version of Batman's suit. I think that one's kind of bulky and it's not my favorite, so I'm not going to use it, but there are tons of different styles of the emblem, so you can do whichever one you want. I'm setting that aside for a second, and I'm going to cut out the silhouette of Batman. I have this template here, and because it was so intricate, I cut the template out of the paper using my X-Acto knife, and then I just rolled out some white fondant fairly thin and just did my best to cut out the pieces. They are quite intricate, so just go really slow. It took me a little while to do this, but it wasn't too difficult. Once that was cut out, I added the bat emblem to my gray tier, and then I added the silhouette to my bottom tier. For the utility belt, I just loosely based this off of Ben Affleck's utility belt. So I have this rectangle shape that I just marked in a little smaller rectangle in the center of, and then just added a couple bits and pieces and texturized them where I thought they needed it. Then I used my Rolcom Super Gold Luster Dust that I mixed with a little bit of vodka and painted over each piece. I wanted to add some bats going around my silhouette of Batman, so I rolled out some white fondant really thin, and then I used this teeny tiny little bat template that I made myself and just cut out a bunch of those. Then I just placed them all around my Batman silhouette with a little bit of water. To make it so that my Batman mask can fit into my cake, I'm rolling out some black fondant and then cutting a couple strips out of that. I have these two skewers that I'm placing on either side of the mask, making sure that they line up with the very bottom points there. And then with a little bit of water, I'm adding those strips over top and then just pressing them down so that the skewers are secured in place. If they poke out on the side or where the eyes are, I just trim that away using my X-Acto knife. I let that dry for about an hour and then I place that right into the center on the top of my cake. This was the final result, guys. I think this cake looks awesome. It looks really cool, but it's also not that hard to do since mainly everything is done with templates. So if you can use an X-Acto knife, then you can make this cake. Again, let me know down below if you want to see me make any of the other members of the Justice League. I was thinking about doing the Flash and Aquaman, or if you want to see me do any other themes, just throw that down there below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe for new videos every week, and I will see you in the next one.